Welcome to So You Think You Can Write, where we give serious writing critique without taking ourselves too seriously. My name is Lindsay, and with me here today is...
Torsha Baker.
Nan Marie Swap.
Brock Booher.
That's right. All right, so this is how the show works. Brock is going to read a first page submission we received, and the rest of us are going to act as if we were agents and editors, and if we decide we would reject that submission,
Yes.
we'll
Yes,
hit the
I get to
buzzer.
do it.
You get to
Get
do it.
comfortable with the
I've always
We'll hit
buzzer.
the
wanted to do
buzzer
that. I know, right?
once. We'll hit the buzzer once, and then explain why.
We have a guest judge today.
The guest judge can hit the buzzer as many times as she wants
Until I move it away.
until Brock moves away.
I might get buzzed. I mean, you never know what happens on this show. It's happened before.
Okay,
Okay, so let's get started here. This is untitled, and no genre has been given to it as well. I sit on the rim of our town's silent fountain, hunched over and arms folded against the cold of early morning. My mouth moves silently as I practice what I'll say. I've gotten up before dawn because I want to catch Gabina alone on the day of regrets. In past years, I've waited too long, and our village would awaken person by person, animal by animal, until there was no peace nor space for private conversation. I have pronounced my unrequited love to Gabina while she's milked goats. I had to pause each time the milk hit the pan, herded her 4 children to catechism, lots of giggling from her children and blushing from me, and cooked tortillas for her waiting husband, awkward and scary. My regret needs telling, but I want no audience this year. I see her coming toward me, but it is barely visible as she leads toward the dusty track that leads to the mill. I can hear her steps now and can see that the basket at her hip is heavy with swollen corn. She approaches the fountain, and I smoothly stand, silently moving beside her, and begin to walk at her pace. Her shoulders stiffen, and she shifts her basket to the other hip. Then suddenly she stops and faces me. Madre Maria, she is beautiful. My heart starts pounding. I open my mouth to speak, but before I begin...
Okay, so the reason I buzzed was actually a couple things. I'm catching a lot of ly words here, silently moving, and then we've got suddenly. These things you can take out and put something stronger in there for that. For instance, silently moving. You know, you could say I crept, I tiptoed. You know, something along those lines. That just makes it stronger. And suddenly, you know, again, that's another thing that I usually don't need that word at all. You just say, she stops and faces me. It's stronger, and it takes care of that. Now, the other thing that I buzzed for was my heart starts pounding. Typically, you don't do starts unless it's like I started to walk and then so-and-so stopped me or somebody stopped me, you know. So don't put in starts unless it's going to be stopped for whatever reason. So you just say, my heart pounded. Is this, or pounds? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm like, is this present tense or past tense?
because it's passive.
Yeah, so, yes, and so that's, these aren't major things, and you may not get rejected for these things, but these are ways that you can really tighten up your writing and make it a lot stronger. There was also a little bit of a formatting issue at the very top on the very first sentence. There's a paragraph break in the middle of a sentence. So again, not a big deal, but if an agent sees that, they're going to be like, wait, why is there this paragraph break here in the middle of a sentence? So just make sure before you send it to just have your eyes go over things and clean all that kind of stuff up. So, okay, I can take my buzzer right now.
All right. My heart starts pounding. I open my mouth to speak, but before I can begin my rehearsed regret, she leans toward me and hisses out words into the still of the early morning. Leo, not again. Not again. I cannot be your biggest regret this year. I refuse to be. Find a new regret, Leo. Bina, I retort, shocked into speaking. It's only been 8 years. Leo, Gabina interrupts, hissing again. My oldest is 8 years old. I have my life. Go find yours.
I was the only one who buzzed. Now I feel mean.
There's some interesting... Go ahead.
I considered buzzing. but I thought maybe this is like more like on the romance side, and so I would buzz all romance stories just for the fact that they're romance. I didn't feel that it moved to something interesting for me, but I didn't buzz because I don't like romance, and maybe that is what I was picking up on.
So there's nothing technical. It was more of a personal.
There's no big,
Subject.
there's no big stakes. It's like he regrets, you know, for me, like whoopee. But that, like I said, I don't like romance, and it could totally be that.
Mm.
There's definitely some intrigue. I mean, obviously Leo is in love with somebody who's married to someone else. Somehow he's been expressing to Gabina while she's milking goats, and she's already got 4 kids and a scary husband. I would imagine if you have time to hang around and with somebody else's wife while she's milking goats, and the scary husband doesn't run you off, that's kind of a plot hole for me, because I would definitely run the dude off pretty quickly, just saying. But again, technically, I mean, it flows and there's some intrigue there. It's down at the bottom where it says it's only been 8 years, ... That should be definitely be a dash instead, because she interrupts him.
Yes.
So you want to put a dash instead there. And then you don't have to say Gabina interrupts hissing again. You just say, Leo, my oldest daughter is 8 years old. I have my life, now go find yours. You can do away with you can shorten that sentence and do away with that just by putting that little dash, because that denotes that she has interrupted him. So you don't have to say that she's interrupted him. So there's some things I would definitely clean up. It does have some intrigue for me, and obviously the setting is, they do a nice job of kind of giving us a little bit about the setting: catechism, goats, tortillas. He says Madre Maria, which, by the way, if you're gonna use that, you might want to italicize it and put the accent on the I for Maria, just so you get it correct on that too. So some little things here, but it does have some intrigue, and I'm interested.
Yeah, I appreciated the little details that actually helped you know where the story is taking place, a little bit of the setting.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't buzz either, is because I was interested to know what is this different setting that I wasn't expecting, which is great. But the parenthetical phrases in that second paragraph did throw me off a little bit. I think it got a little wordy, and I got lost in what was trying to be said. And so I think if you could figure out a way to remove all the parentheticals, normally there's a way to weave in those details in another way, unless it is your character's voice. And if it's a character voice thing, how do you parentheticals with the character voice? I'm sure this person is kind of, this character's taking it aside and saying, well, this and that, but it could be that you're using it as an info dump instead. Like, I need to make sure that you know where we're setting, and I need to make sure you know all of the things about this character in the second paragraph, which we don't. So, because you can weave those in later, and to understand the character, who
And
this
she
person
did
is.
weave in, you know, my oldest is 8 years
8 years
old.
old.
So that's a good example of weaving that information in through dialogue.
Right. I think
So-
sometimes as writers we feel like we have to put, oh, I need my character's age, and I need to make sure that you know what they look like and what they sound like and all this stuff right in the very first couple of sentences. And sometimes that cumbers the flow of the page.
Yep.
And so don't be afraid to hold back some of those details until later, when they can come out more naturally and actually will help your character voice, help your voice be stronger.
Yeah.
Randy?
I wonder if this might be not the right place to start the story. I don't have a feeling that the main story is going to be about him winning over the love of his life, who's married to someone else and has 4 kids, and obviously not interesting. I don't think that's the story, right? And if that's not the story, then I don't feel that this is the right place to start the book.
Well, perhaps this is, you know, what has been referred to as the Buffy beginning. You know what I'm talking about? So it's like you have a small problem that kind of is bringing you into the larger problem. And I've seen that done really well. But I agree with Randy that the bigger problem better be coming really soon. Because, and like he said,
You don't
what's
think
the consequence
you
of
don't
failure?
think trying to steal another man's wife is
Well,
a big
he's
problem?
not. He's
It is,
okay.
and if that is the story, which would have lots of conflict and
Oh, you
probably
bet it would.
killing and
But
death.
that's not his goal, right? His goal is to express his regret for doing that. So that's what I mean is, where's the consequence of failure here? So if he fails to tell her his regret, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, she
He
just,
fails
but
to tell
obviously,
him his regret.
done it
the
before.
regret.
obviously he's done it before.
Well, I thought before he was expressing
Yeah,
how
but
he
that's
feels about her,
yeah,
that
and that's
he
kind
loves
of a-
her.
that's kind of
Now
a
he's
plot
saying,
hole
"I
there.
regret
Right?
that I did
That's a
that."
contradiction on the first page, yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, I guess what I'm saying is that
Yeah, the not again. Leo, not again, not again. I cannot be your
because
biggest regret.
I think
right?
she thinks he's going to be professing his feelings to her
Okay.
again, whereas he's saying, "Oh, I'm just saying I regret doing that." Am I reading this wrong?
I'm not, see, it's still, you'd have to go a little bit further
Yeah.
in the story, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't
Okay.
really know.
Anyhow, I guess what I'm saying is I agree with Randy that there needs to be a bigger story goal pretty soon here, because this isn't enough to carry through.
And you know, I suppose you could go with this if you drop in a hint, and it probably would have to come from Gabina. I mean, she could probably make some sort of comment about the big problem that it's going to, or some, just a hint. A one line could be all it takes to change this from where we aren't focusing at all on the main storyline to where we've got a hint of it, and then that's okay. Because I don't mind that there's a small problem that needs to be taken care of first, but just give us a hint.
I wonder if
about
it's the
it.
go find yours, go find your own life. Is that the hint? I don't know. Is it?
Maybe.
So is this a life interrupted story
I
then?
don't know.
Which
I know that's the problem is we don't have a genre too, so
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to know what kind of story it is. You know,
It
from
is.
from this. So
Well,
Yeah.
let's vote on it. Do you want me
Okay.
to start?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm going to give it a set. I thought there was some intrigue to the story. Some of the characters sound interesting, nice setting and all that. But as I mentioned, there were several things that I would clean up and change to make sure that it's ready to go. So I'm going to give it a set.
I'm a little bit afraid to do this.
Okay.
No, I'm going to say right. I just feel like I think there's a lot of good stuff going on, like I said, with the setting, and I think it's fascinating. Like I want to know more about this person in the setting, but I do feel like the voice is a little lost. Like I don't know who this character is exactly, and that's so important on the first page. All I know is that they are, totally set on this woman, and they're not going to give up. So if there's more, if that's what you're going for, then it nailed it. But there needs to be more dimension to the character, and I think you can get it in there because already there's some good things going on. But I'm going to say it's going to need a right.
okay, I'm actually going to agree with Wright for the reasons that I've mentioned before, which I won't be redundant and tell you again. But I also have to agree with Anne Marie that I didn't get enough of a strong character voice here. And obviously this is a character that is doing something that isn't so positive, and so I need a reason to like him, and I don't really like him right now, if that makes sense. So I do think you need to do right to kind of clean those things up and figure out, give us something to root for with this character.
He does know the word unrequited, so.
Yeah, that's a bonus.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to also go with right, but rather than focusing on the negative parts of it, I want to say that I was kind of hesitant to give it a right. I feel that the author's voice is strong, and I get such a good sense of setting, and so seldom in our submissions and when I'm doing first chapter contest judging, very seldom do I get that sense of setting, and I have a strong sense of setting here, and I do like the author voice. I feel that this is a person who can tell a good story. I'm just not sure exactly where we need to be on the beginning of the story, but I would be interested in reading more, just because of the voice. All right,
but you're saying the
author
voice.
Right, I agree.
Okay.
You know what? I don't have a sense of the character so much. I have
And I
more.
agree, it is good author voice.
I have
do
more of a
agree with that,
sense of
too.
Gabina's character than I do his character, because she comes out, and I can definitely feel her character voice strongly, but not the main character. Unless Gabina is the main character, which I can't imagine a story about a lady and her 4 kids and milking goats. But I could be wrong. That might be exciting.
She cooks tortillas.
Cooks that too.
Yes, that's important.
That is very important.
All right, so did we get it right? Leave a
below.
comment. Sorry, you go.
No, I'm just saying comment below.
Comment below.
I'm just
whether
echoing.
we got it right. But you like our guest judge, and you think Dan Marie should come back and do more episodes, you know, whatever you like.
And don't forget to subscribe.
That's right.
Yes,
Yes.
please do, and submit, because we have some great prizes this year.
Yes.
All right, until next time, get ready.
Get set.
Right.